the gentle song of the vineyard in Isaiah brings an unexpected and violent conclusion with it. The vineyard that suggests a beautiful country scene. Things end very, very differently. And it's similar in the parable which Jesus models after that song, it would seem. And the good ordering of the arrangement with the tenants and so on, it doesn't end as it's supposed to end. That order is destroyed. Violence. Violence. We see violence around us in various ways. On this Respect Life Sunday, we might think of one of the American bishops telling Pope Francis that in the United States, there have been something like more than 60 million abortions since the tragic Roe versus Wade Supreme Court decision in 1973, and Pope Francis reacting viscerally to the number. We might think of people cast aside. We might even think, in a way, how sometimes the elderly end up treated, almost feeling like there's no purpose in life, somehow isolated. I know it can be very difficult, but sometimes at the seminary, where we have men from many different countries, I feel a little bit embarrassed about the situation here for all our material prosperity, but sometimes things are not structured so that those who are retired and in that sense don't have a place in the economy in the way that they used to, somehow are led to believe that they don't matter. Violence. We don't see it. We get desensitized to it. A lot of it happens in quiet ways, like those 60 million abortions, and so many happen now chemically or through contraceptives that work partially or exclusively abortifaciently. What about the person of whatever race who might be looked down upon, left on the margins, or suffered direct violence? But what about the silent or very subtle violence that might be in and around our lives? Nothing that would ever make the news, but, well, have you ever felt simply cut off or excluded, whether it be a family member so painful, or maybe at work? Or have we ever participated in one way or another of doing that? You know, I can remember some times in my childhood where I sided with others against, a kid who might have been a difficult kid in a way, but, we made fun of him. And sometimes later, as you get older, you can see the kind of pain that can bring people as they need sometimes really to process that. It's not the way things are supposed to be. Things are supposed to be peaceful like the vineyard, or in the good ordering of the tenants working in the vineyard. In fact, that peace is so deep that Israel is, in a very real sense, God's spouse. That's how deep the love is. But sometimes we don't react, we don't respond in that way at all, right? And then comes Jesus in the patience of the landowner, right? After the slaves or servants are sent in groups, the Son is sent. And that's, of course, Jesus. And Jesus suffers violence. He suffers really what the pain of sin is, though he is innocent. But in Jesus, there is a never-ending fountain of God's mercy, never-ending. And it's the cornerstone on which the structure is built. And that structure is not merely any structure. The structure at issue here is the temple, the dwelling of God among men and women. And so in the innocence of Jesus and the love of God showing in the beauty of his human life, we see the horror of violence, egregious and subtle, in and around us, including our own hearts. But in Jesus, there is always hope, always the promise of the Spirit to bring us back. He's the one who will leave the 99 behind to find the lost sheep. He's the one whose love never ends. And so if in any way our conscience might convict us of participating in violence, in any way, there's no need to fear. He's there. There is nothing that we have done or could do that falls outside of his mercy. Like an ever-flowing fountain, the water simply flows from the temple, Ezekiel 47, from the right side of the temple. Or the book of Revelation, picking up that image in this very last chapter, the very last chapter of the Bible. Then the angel of the Lord showed me the river of life, flowing crystal clear from the throne of God and of the Lamb. On its banks are trees that bear fruit 12 times a year for the healing of the nations. Our society can be at once permissive and puritanical, and there is no mercy in so many ways. But Christianity is very different. Mercy, mercy, mercy is at the very center. And that mercy encourages us, that mercy gives us a second chance, and as many chances as we need. And that mercy fills us with life. That's why Pope Francis entitled the book that he wrote after becoming Pope, "The Name of God is Mercy."